Hey everybody, it's John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com. And this morning, Jackie and I were talking a little about fears and how they relate to our self-esteem and also how they relate to society's views on what we're doing, I think. And, when it comes to self-esteem, I think a lot of times when I have a fear that, Jackie being with someone else, it's going to I get uncomfortable about it. So I have to look at why am I uncomfortable about this right now? And it could be because I'm afraid she's going to leave me, which means I'm not worthy. That's low self-esteem. It could be afraid that, this guy's going to do something better than me. She's going to like spending more time with him. And so there it is again. It's better than me, so I'm less than, so therefore it's a low self-esteem issue. And I found that when we learn how to really love ourselves, I know that sounds kind of like granola, yeah, but it's the truth. If you're full of love, there's no place for fear when it comes to the fear that it relates to low self-esteem. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, but that can really that can be something hard to grapple with when you're in the midst of having your fear. And I know, when I can think back on times that I was in fear of something going on, yes, it was part of that fear was, maybe this person's got a better figure than I do, or, maybe she has better conversation than I do. But I think, too, another thing that plays a role in that was kind of my belief system growing up, kind of how I was trained to view relationships growing up. I didn't grow up in a swinging kind of an environment. I wasn't privy to what a consensual non-monogamous relationship was. I was only privy to a monogamous relationship. So the only format that I had in my head was you, me, equals, just this little pod. And that was where I was supposed to be. And anything that came from outside of that was a threat. There was this loss that was going to be taking place, because that's all I had in my head. That was the only memories I had. So even though I was coming up against issues where maybe I thought someone was better than me, which then of course equals, in order for someone to be better, that means somebody has to be less. And, that would have been me. But it was also about how I was viewing the relationship as a whole. This isn't supposed to be happening. She's not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be letting my husband do this. I'm not supposed to be doing this. As much as I didn't, as much as I was trying to break out of that belief system, it still had its tentacles in, wrapped up in a lot of my thought patterns. And I think, too, what can happen when we're first opening up our relationship, and it doesn't even just have to be initially, but I think this is where a lot of the hiccups take place, is we don't allow ourselves that process. We don't allow ourselves to go through those stages of growth. Instead, we view those moments of inadequacy, or those moments of fear, or those moments of trepidation as we're supposed to stop. That this is something that I'm not wanting to be involved in, instead of, this is just part of the process. This is part of the process to get me over here to this other place so that I can see the value in our relationship. Just because we brought someone into our bedroom or our relationship doesn't have to equal negative or less than. It can actually be more. But I have to transition from less to more. I have to let myself do that.
Yeah, in both. I had to let you.
Yeah.
We had to
Right.
we had to find a way through that process. And that's a great point, Jackie. And it reminds me of looking at myself in my business career. There have been many times where I've worked on a project and there have been some roadblocks that I've had to overcome on the project. And I'll have people on the outside say, that's a sign. You're not supposed to do that project. It's time to stop. That's the same kind of thing. If I had that happen to me, we wouldn't be sitting in Colette, New Orleans today, and it's been here 17 years plus. Because there were many times there were roadblocks in the process to get to this point, but it's not how I work. I find another way, or if there's a roadblock, I find a way around it, or I find a way to go through it.
Right.
And that's what you did in that case, in that instance, and you've done it in other instances as well. Rather than let the fear shut us down, you move through it.
Yeah. You use it as a stepping stone. I mean, it's important to see the big picture of what your goal is, where you're trying to get with your partner. John and I being in the swinger relationship wasn't about, what can we do that's going to hurt each other the most? No, our whole reason for being in this lifestyle was to better the relationship, to better our communication, our honesty, our trust, to make all of those things even more important, even more vital. How can we expand who we are, not just with ourselves, but with everybody else? But you have to, and I just keep going back to it, you have to let yourself grow through that and to not be in panic when it happens. I mean, I've done it, I've been there, I've panicked, and while I didn't enjoy that process, once I got through it, I realized how valuable that process was. So it's not just the joys in life that bring all this satisfaction. A lot of times it can be those things that we think are failures. They can be just as joyous in the long run.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. So anyway, please sign up on our email list at openlove101.com. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we've got more like it coming to you. So we'll send you an email, let you know. In the meantime, see ya. So, you want to see more of this? Then subscribe by clicking on that.